Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake Podcast. Podcast. Remake. 7. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII Remake Podcast. A 4-part podcast miniseries where your hosts Jonah and Trent talk about the highs and lows of FF7 Remake. Alright, so we're going to talk about mechanics after having talked about the story of the game for about 2.5 hours.
Yep.
We're going to go through this a little, I think, faster because we've already talked about a lot of this already.
It's intercut with amongst all the things. All right, battle system. Big improvement over the original.
Yeah, I think it was... I think it was really good. I think that it was a big improvement. I think that the JRPG format is really tired at this point and kind of needs to move on or just stop.
Yeah. Grinding is gone. There is no grinding with combat.
Yeah, no, you can go through the entire game and only fight the battles that are mandatory and still progress through, and it's fine.
Yeah, you don't need to hit a certain level to get through a certain segment, which is great. And it's especially great considering that the game grinds your time in other ways.
Oh yeah, for real.
But we've already talked about that. So yes, I really like the battle system. Mm-hmm. I really like how the different characters play differently. They feel very different.
Yeah. They all have their own kind of mechanics. Like if you're playing World of Warcraft or something like that, like how a rogue feels different from a warrior or whatever. They all have different action economy systems. Like Tifa has like an actual combo thing. It's not really in there, but it is in there. Mm. And then Barrett's got this charge thing. Barrett, I feel like you're really incentivized to use him. The first thing in the battle is just to pick something and just blast it with overcharge and then switch away from Barrett as quickly as possible.
Yes. And considering that the ATB gauges charge very slowly for those who you are not attached to, you're not controlling currently, it kind of encourages you to jump around a bunch.
Yeah, right. Like, so for instance, sometimes a character in your party is, for whatever reason, maybe they have the right elements on them. They're associated with, like, they got the ice materia, and you need the ice materia for this fight. You're incentivized to go play that character as your main character for that fight, so you can charge them up faster. I love that part. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Actually, as we mentioned before, one of the drawbacks, one of the more annoying aspects is how easily you can get staggered.
Yeah. Anything touches you. If this is like one of the downsides, I really hope that they do something about this, so that like maybe add a materia that makes it harder to be countered. But like, if you're casting a spell, you get hit by literally anything, you stop casting that spell. You lose all the APDB charge, you lose all the mana you put into that, all the time you put into that.
Yep. And same thing with your limit breaks.
Yep.
You get slammed in the middle of your limit break, it goes away. If the enemy like moves away a couple inches and your thing doesn't make contact, it just wasted limit break.
Oh my god, yeah. So one thing I noticed is that when you lose your limit break, I think you get most of it back. I noticed that one time when I used Cloud's like Ascension ability that I had like 90% of his limit break meter filled when I just whiffed and hit exactly 0. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate that as a system. I really hope that's actually there and I didn't just imagine it. But like that needs to be in there. I appreciate that the limit breaks aren't just these power moves you can throw down anymore, and that you can you have to actually maybe stagger an enemy or to get them into at least some position in their cycle. Yeah, you actually have to wait and drop all your power moves.
Well, yeah. Well, you're kind of encouraged to save limit breaks while they're staggered because you deal additional damage when an enemy's staggered.
Oh, yeah, right. Like, sometimes in some of the boss fights, even on normal, if you get someone staggered and then you drop a limit break on them, you can just be like, peace, see ya.
Yep, melt. Yeah, like bring on your next stage.
Yeah, right. Like, here, I ended you with a cutscene. And that's fun. It's great when it works, and when it doesn't work, you just feel bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't tell you how many times my cure spells got countered by some enemy when I really needed them to work, and then when I had no ATB to cast another cure spell or use a potion, I was so depressed.
Yeah.
So I'm not crazy about that. I get that they want you to force you into the flow of combat and wait for your turn and then counter appropriately, but there's got to be some moves in the game where they work.
Yeah, you just don't get staggered. Otherwise, you just you get thrown into a death spiral.
Yeah, right. Or you get in the situation where you're constantly feeling like your agency as a player is being undermined, and that your buttons
Right.
don't do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's really easy to do when you get staggered and stunned, and yeah.
yeah. But otherwise, it's fun for the most part. When it works, it's amazing.
Correct. Yes. There's really a lot they can do. There's really a lot they can add to it to make it even better.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully
Uh,
they keep pushing that ball forward.
yeah, they need to experiment with it, like the tank lobby fight. Play with terrain. Give agency for movement.
Yes, agreed. Hopefully we'll see that going.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, materia.
Yeah, materia. There's so much of it, isn't there?
There is an exorbitant amount, and some of it does not level up as quickly as others.
Oh yeah, right. So like you'll probably never see a rise ever cast in your game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, raise only. I don't think I didn't really level it up much, and I used it a bunch because you get more value out of it than say a Phoenix Down.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure. Yeah.
like Kira leveled up real fast. Kira leveled up real quick.
Hmm.
Some of the damage and stuff leveled up real quick, but you only get so. And considering how materia levels up, I got stuck with this lump sum of stuff, and I was leveling up like different materia on different people, and it got to the point where it was forcing me to jump between cloud, pretty much my different parties, and I was having to like move materia around constantly because I
Right.
only leveled up certain amount, and it
Hmm.
got to the point where all right, I'm done. Barrett, you have no materia. Enjoy.
Yep. Yeah, and then one thing I appreciate about the materia system is that by the end of the game, you're kind of incentivized to make sure every character has enough materia to be a fully fledged character if suddenly you need to play them for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah, which at the last couple chapters of the game, you're going to swap back and forth between all your characters in different fights, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. And I'm going to use the materia thing that kind of segue into equipment, the weapons.
Oh yeah, we did put that in here as a note. Yeah, like so the weapons, the whole leveling system, the upgrades. Oh my gosh.
Yes, what's really interesting, like in a typical JRPG, you're constantly cycling through weapons. Like, every new weapon is better than the last. Whereas in this one, you're able to level up weapons to where they're all kind of around the same power level. They can all do different things
Yeah.
depending on your build. So like the original Buster Sword can still be competitive with like the final sword you get.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Like you can literally take any weapon to the end of the game and it would be viable, and it's fantastic, right? The Buster Sword itself is kind of like a equal. It's like a balanced weapon. It's about as much attack power as it has magic power, right? That's kind of neat. And then you get the Iron Blade, which is more defense based, but it's also kind of the magic weapon. And then which is not to be compared with like the Mithril Blade, which is like all in on magic by the end of the game. Yeah, no, it's neat. I like that system, and I love that weapons can grow with you as you're leveling up, and some of the weapons that you stopped using can become good weapons again later on.
For sure.
Yeah.
That I definitely like.
Yeah.
And near the end, I started valuing materia slots.
Oh yeah, my gosh, I bought as many materia slots on all my weapons as I possibly could because any materia slot can have stats on it, right? You can just throw like Asuna into something, and suddenly you have +2 to all of your magic stats.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And having more options in battle is always great.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I would have liked to see different in the next game is that there are a lot of options you could purchase with AP for your weapons that just seemed like wrong choices.
What would you say would be a wrong choice?
So, like for instance, like I think that you nerf your character whenever you pick something that says like you have more defense when you're at full health.
Oh, okay. Yes. There's a lot of ones that just don't matter.
Right. Yeah. Because
being strong at having like higher defense, HP, attack power, or magic power, any stat increase with you being at max HP is a very small window.
Right, yeah. And not like that, but when you're choosing that over, because they cost often the same, is something actually relevant, like extra attack power or a materia slot or a unique ability like trade-off.
Yeah. Every one of them are like you like open up different orbs in the tiers, like all of them cost the same in that orb.
Yeah.
So it's not any cheaper. So it's always a waste.
Yeah, and so you're like you're constantly looking at these things, and it's not like a traditional skill tree. It's just you unlock a galaxy, and you can pick any of them in any order. And often I felt like I was just constantly picking raw stats every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Likewise, it was pretty. It felt like the illusion of choice.
Yeah, it definitely did. It felt like that they could have spent a lot more time on that, or that they were worried that if they broke that system, then it would undermine the entire game.
Yeah. Definitely something they should put keep in the oven a little longer.
Yeah, I imagine that maybe they were only seeing the beginnings of a more complicated system, because, like, I imagine that you're probably going to get to keep all your items from this game to the next game, right?
I sure hope so, because otherwise, like, the missables and all the time you spent on leveling all this stuff is just gone in the sequel.
Yeah, right. But it's weird because, like, you level up your weapons, and you're like, you max out at 6 materia slots for any given weapon, but it's like, by the end of the original game, like, some of the best weapons have like 6 to 8 slots, and you're like, I'm already at 6. Where do we go from here? 20?
It might not be like the number of slots. It might be the quality of the materia.
Yeah, maybe we'll see materia that you can't put in normal slots or something, or whatever.
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah, or I don't know. We'll combine materia together somehow. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of materia.
Yeah, there sure is. Who knows? Yeah. Anyhow, there's a lot of materia. I constantly felt like I was given so much materia that I had to pick a bunch of these purple ones, but then I needed a bunch of the green ones, and it was just like I never had enough room to do what I wanted or whatever. But that's also like an interesting choice. But I kind of felt overwhelmed.
Yeah, I can understand that. I did too. Like, I just don't have enough spots. I have all this material, but not enough spots.
Yeah, at least the fights like the Hell House. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The summons.
Yeah, how did you like the change?
I liked it just fine, because beforehand the summons were just damage behind a cutscene.
Yeah, right. And so, like, they're often the most powerful. Like, Ifrit was just a more powerful fire spell. It cost more, and it was basically better than ever casting fire ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Now summons are like their own gauge that can fill up over a course of a tough fight.
Yeah, right. And then in the same gauge it fills up, and then you have to choose which of your party members is actually going to pull off their summon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's neat.
It is neat.
Yeah, and then you power these summons by using your own ATB charges through them. So it's kind of like mimicking that thing of where you're spending your mana on the casting the summon and not like your other spells, but without actually using up your mana, which is a really important resource in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, like, no, it's fabulous, and I like to see that they, even if you didn't manage to connect with some of the summons attacks, because some of the summons have like really weird cones or single targets or whatever, that you'll always hit with the summon with their big final move at the end. It's nice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and then
so it does.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like it was a waste.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, and that you don't, and that none of the summons take that long to summon, and it just feels good. You don't actually get to summon them in every fight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So quests. We talked about the quests and how there's a lot of them, and a lot of they detract from the story, and they often are the bulk of like the inflation of the story in the game. But one thing I wanted to talk about was whenever you finish a quest, you get the option to fast travel back to the person who gave you the quest, so you can immediately finish it there.
Yes.
And it is never the right choice to pick that option.
Sometimes it is. It depends.
Okay, that's fair. There are like 2 single opportunities to use that fast travel appropriately, and I missed one of them, and I realized that I shouldn't have. I actually should have taken the fast travel.
Yeah. Yes.
But so often, if you just say no to fast traveling every single time you have the option to do so, you're probably more right than you are wrong.
Agreed, because there's still stuff left to explore.
Yeah, and so like there's this thing I just wanted to monologue about for a second, where like it's a they could have fixed this. They could have made this system work so much better if you just had an option to hit the map screen, go over to look at the quest description, and then have a little option that says fast travel to the guy who gave you the quest.
Well, here's the thing. This kind of calls back to the side quest involving the underground lab.
Yeah.
You had a button you could push just to leave.
Yeah. So why isn't that in the rest of the game?
Why not? Indeed. And speaking of fast travel, you have side quests to kind of give you a kind of a quasi fast travel with the chocobos.
Right, yeah, you have to pay to use the chocobos at first, and then once you find all the chocobos, then you just get to use it for free, which, boy, howdy, I use that for free a bunch.
Yeah, and the thing is, the funny thing is, it's just all in the service of getting around just to do the side quests. So when you really break it down, it's pointless.
Yeah, right, and yeah, it's like, so more... Chadley is a great example of how that side quest stuff works, and I want to see more stuff like Chadley in the net going forward. And we can just take all the side quest stuff. Like some of the side quests work, like the ones that have you go into your own, like the scrapyard in some Sector 7 slums, is actually, I think, okay, right? But then like don't have us retravel the same space we literally just walked through to get back to do this thing. Yeah.
Speaking of side quests, did you do the one where you fought the what is it called?
I did them all. I did them all, Trent.
You did them all? You did them all? Let's see here. Trying to think. It's a what is that thing called? It is a Tonberry. The Tonberry.
Oh, the Tonberry, right. So you learn that some goons got sent to go harass Aerith's mom, and so you go find them in the space where you fought Rude, and you fight a Tonberry.
Yep. The Tonberry that has one special attack that can instantly jib a party member.
Oh yeah, it is a one-hit KO, just like the original Tonberry, but you fight this way earlier.
Yep, way earlier, and if you avoid that one-hit KO, it gets staggered.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it was cute, and there's also an opportunity to fight a Marlboro in the game. Did you know that?
Marlboro?
Yeah, the big tentacle monster with a big mouth that shoots bad breath at you.
Was there?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I looked at, we could talk about chapter select in a second here, but like one of the things that you can do after you beat the game is open up chapter select, right, which lets you go to any chapter in the game and play it from the start of there, right? And then once you can save it, and then it's like, so for instance, you missed a thing, you're like, I went back and got Barrett's gun, and then as soon as you get Barrett's gun, you can then move to a different chapter, and you get to keep the guns, right? But some choices, when you make a character choice, like when you tell Aerith what dress she should be wearing, you have to finish a chapter to lock that in.
Right.
But one of the things you can do is you can go back to the Coliseum and there's more challenges. And you can go back to the combat simulator and there's more challenges. You can even, if you go back to chapter 17, you can actually find Chadley in Hojo's lab where he wasn't before. And then he's like, hey, I'm here. And then he leads you over to a side room that didn't really exist before. And you can find the combat simulator again. And then now you can do the combat simulator with Aerith, as well as a bunch of optional hard mode only challenges. And the hardest one of them all, the hardest one of them all has you fight every summon in the game back to back.
Oof.
It's like a boss rush, right? But then there's also like one where you can fight legendary monsters, and that's where you can fight a Marlboro, and then also learn bad breath from it with your enemy skill materia.
Yeah, the enemy materia, yeah.
Which means that there are secretly 5 enemy skills in the game you can learn, and not 4. I had that enemy skill materia on me for so long, and I was so disappointed.
Yeah, it didn't really come a whole bunch.
Yeah, I used one skill off of it the entire game. There was one section where you fight a bunch of those brain bots in the drum, where you fight like 20 guys, and then I realized when one of them was like using the HP absorb attack, I'm like, hey, Cloud knows how to do that. I'll use HP absorb, and then I wiped that fight really quickly, but none of those other abilities are really worth it at all. And,
nope.
And it may make sense because the enemy skill materia doesn't really have any purpose in your loadout until you've been growing it through all 3 discs, right? Because this is the best abilities you can get for enemy skill in the original game were things like White Wind and like the hammer thing or whatever was pretty good. And like there's some like exceptions where level 5 Doom or something like that was useful. But like you really had, this was like a optional side questy thing in the traditional Final Fantasy sense of like there's a bunch of stuff you can miss and a bunch of stuff you can way over level your party doing. I just feel like that the enemy skill materia could have probably just been absent from this game and it would have been fine.
Yes, I completely agree about that.
Cool. All right. Yeah.
All right. Level design.
Yep. Linear walkways. And did you want that side stuff?
Yes, this was a glorified hallway.
Yeah. So like predominantly the entire game is incredibly linear. There are sections of the game where you're well aware that you're not following the main path anymore, and often when you miss something, like there's a spot in the game when I was going through the sun lamp section, where the game literally told me, "Hey, you didn't get that materia we showed you earlier. Do you want to go get that?" And I was like, "Thank you, game. I would like to go get that." I really appreciate the game telling me that I missed something big that I probably could have gotten, and I really like that. I want to know how you feel about how linear the game was, considering I don't want to tell you my opinion yet.
I can partially understand why certain segments were linear.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of the narrative. Because it's a very narrative, it's a very linear narrative where you're going here and you have to go here and here and here. The game in the original did not really open up until after the Midgar section.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So while I did not really like the whole hallway thing, for what it was, I'm fine with it. It got drawn out in parts, but I really, really hope that it opens up in the sequel.
Yeah, I hope that the overworld stuff opens up, but I think I actually like the linear pathways within the game.
Like the content is more scripted.
Yeah, because in the original Final Fantasy, right, you end up with like dungeons and areas where you if you actually walk down some corridor, right, if you hit a dead end, usually there's an item in the dead end, and that's what you want to do. But then if you go down the wrong path, which is actually the right path to get to the rest of the game and finish that section, you can miss all sorts of stuff. And inevitably, what I did in the original game every time I played is I if I'm not using a guide, I run through some part of the map, the dungeon, and then I end up tracing my path over and over again, trying to get all of the secret hidden stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and so and the linear design really makes it really easy to get all the extra stuff.
Right, to traverse through the quote unquote dungeon segments.
Yeah.
I think when I say I hope it opens up more is because you have more freedom of where you want to go, and going from different town segment to different town segment, as opposed to just being locked on this straight up hallway, and there's no going back, there's no going it's just constant forward momentum.
Yeah, right. You're not really given a lot of choices on what's going to happen from moment to moment.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I'm not. It's usually when the linearity is at its worst. It's when it's doing that. But I want some sort of happy balance where because I'm not really concerned about it being linear. One thing I wanted to point out here is that there's a lot of times outside of combat where you're just walking down a linear corridor and there's literally no one talking, and no monsters, and nothing to think about other than that you're traveling. And I'm not even sure that those sections of the game are bad. I think that that's actually it's okay to give the player a breather and let them just think their own thoughts for a second.
Right.
But I don't want to be constantly tracing a circle. I want all the benefits of a linear game without having to feel like I'm locked on the rails.
Yes.
And
yeah, I can.
Yeah, sorry, and and I think when it works at its best, I think that some of the areas actually are super linear, but don't feel super linear. I think some parts of the train graveyard are actually it's super linear. It's basically just a straight line, but it doesn't really feel that way. And that's I think the story of all good level design at this point, right? Yeah, is to give the player the feelings that you're trying to evoke without actually giving them the actual choices of those things, because often that leads to games where path logic, where you're game is punishing you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pathologic is a weird game, and I've been watching a video on it recently, but I recommend listener you go check it out on your own. But if you ever want to see a game, if you are in a situation where you feel like all games should be fun, Pathologic is a great example of why a game maybe shouldn't be fun. Not all games should be fun, but generally they probably should be. But I don't know. It's a weird thinking piece more than anything.
Well, yeah. I've seen the video. It was I'm trying to remember the YouTuber's name, but he covered it in great length. He covered both the original Pathologic game and the quote unquote sequel, Pathologic 2, which is essentially just a remaster and re-release of the original with some quality of life changes and graphical boost to it. And I played Pathologic 2.
Yeah.
Part of it. I didn't get through all of it, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, come on, it's Pathologic. But we're going off on a tangent here. We're not talking about Final Fantasy anymore. So, all right.
Yes, okay. So, yeah, the linear walkways, the side stuff, the level design. I was fine with it up to a point. I just with the hope that it does open up in the following games. Now that you're out and about in the world.
Yeah, it would be nice to see some sections in the open world areas where you can just bypass them entirely, and then the game's not going to strictly punish you for missing them.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be nice because there's a lot of opportunities I think that the Final Remake missed on getting to, if you say spend some time in the library or whatever, or spend some time at the kids' orphanage even. You could find some books on the wall and learn a bit more about characters or whatever. That'd be nice. Yeah. So more of that. But let's move on to the mini games, and we can just really quickly talk about our thumbs up, thumbs down about.
Okay. Thumbs up. The first mini game you encounter is darts.
Yeah, darts.
Did you play the darts?
Oh yeah, I did play the darts.
Did you get the highest score?
Oh yeah.
I did not. I played it a couple times. I got a feel for how I'm supposed to do it. But at that point, I went, all right. Well, that's maybe you get something special if you get the highest score. If you beat Wedge or Biggs or whoever had the highest score.
Yeah.
But I kind of just want to go through the game without trying to be a full completionist about it. So I just went forward after getting second place. Since you got the highest score, what did you get?
You get a luck up materia.
Interesting. I think that's the only instance where you get luck up. I'm not sure what luck actually does.
Yeah, so there's actually a second area where you can get luck up in the game. I think I encountered 2 spots, right? And then luck up. So luck is a stat, increases your critical chance, right? And so it's useful for Tifa, who already has a higher than normal luck stat. Right. And then also luck improves things that happen randomly, like for instance the steel materia, which we didn't even talk about.
There's not much to talk about with steel material because there's really not a whole lot that's worth stealing.
Yeah, that's true. And there's you have the steel materia just eat up one of your slots for the entire game, and then you pick up the optional weapon for Aerith, and then you pick up occasionally in the late game section you'll find some more exciting things like a bangle that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Correct, but altogether, not worth.
Not worth it, and also you have to continually use steel repeatedly on some of these bosses to actually have it succeed.
Yep.
Yeah, and which is and not only that, but steel doesn't upgrade to mug like it did in the original game.
Correct.
So it's steel should have never been in this game.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
because it was in the original, and because you could steal certain things from certain mobs.
It's not just in the original; it's basically in every Final Fantasy game ever made, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we should stop. Please stop, developers.
Please stop.
Yeah.
The motorcycle segment, we had 2 of those.
Yeah, and so one is basically just the same as the other. Once you finish the game, you're actually allowed to skip both of them, which is a nice little affordance to the player.
Yeah. Yes, it's like it knows.
Yeah, I'm betting that Jessie did not praise you for your motorcycle skills the first time you went through that.
Maybe she did. She didn't. She didn't. I didn't like. It wasn't that difficult the first go around.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad, but there's a lot of places where you can take some free damage. And oh my god, we never even talked about that soldier guy who just
No, the guy who is very much in love with his motorcycle.
Oh yeah, well, let's not talk about him.
Well, they added a soldier character.
Yay.
Yeah, who with actual personality. So that's a good that other people exist who aren't Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I guess we had exactly two first-class soldiers in the original game, and that was Zack and Cloud, and I guess Sephiroth, but like, so maybe a third one, but he didn't really count. So having more than just those two is neat.
Yeah.
And I guess...
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's as far as like the framework of the setting, nice bit of world building. Like, oh, they still have soldiers that are on their payroll.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess there's some world building there of like, I hope that every first class soldier also has some sort of weird fetish.
Right. That they've all kind of come out weird from being bathed in Mako.
Right. Yeah. Like, I am the motorcycle master. I master the motorcycle. And then the next guy's like, well, I have a ladle.
Yeah.
I'm the ladle master. I ladle things.
Yep. Little things.
Can you smell what Brock has got cooking?
Yep.
It's a ladle.
The best minigame in the entire game, though, is the squats.
Oh yeah, by far, they really nailed it out of the park. And why don't they make squats their own game? Squeenix, if you're listening to this, please make squats their own minigame. I want to pay $50 for that game.
Final squats, yes.
Yeah, final squats, remaster, double dream drop, remix. That's sarcasm. That's all sarcasm. Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because I think functionally, squats really isn't that much different than it was in the original game.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, it wasn't.
Yeah, and so like you're taking this mini game that was already bad and forced you to look at the animations of the characters to know when you're supposed to push the next button. But they actually show you the diagram for the buttons you're supposed to push and then slowly take it away.
Yep, they sure do.
Yep, and so that's better, but eventually get to the point where like, okay, you hit any wrong button when you're not supposed to hit a button, or if you just hit the wrong button when you're supposed to hit a button, you just get stunned for like 5 seconds, and then you have to start your combo meter back over, and the only way to beat the hardest sections of the squat section is to actually basically never fail.
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially. Well, the thing is, I had no difficulty with the squat minigame.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I managed to get to. I finished the hard mode version of the squat game. Yeah, and so I hated it.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I enjoyed the side quests, like surrounding it, like the buildup of it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, right. Like squats itself is one of these parts of the original game Midgar where we're like, oh man, I remember the squats. Can't wait. Mm-hmm. And then they have the thing that bugged me, I think, was that they came back and did squats a second time in the form of the pull-ups.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's nice that they show you what you're going to earn by beating those different levels, because when I earned the champion belt from the first time go around, I looked at the champion belt and never equipped it. And then I got there with Tifa, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll do this a little bit. And I end up getting the second level, and then I tried the third level, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. So having looked at the trophies on the PS4 for the game, and one of them which was beat the game on hard mode, and another one was like do everything in the game, literally everything, including the hardest stuff, and I was like, I'm never gonna 100% this game. I'm okay with that. Nope. So, yeah. And honestly, I think there comes a special time in every gamer's life when you realize that you don't have to 100% games anymore, and it's the day you realize you are a free human being.
I'm free. I don't need this in my life.
Yeah, and then suddenly you're allowed to not do that anymore and not hurt yourself. And please out there, if you are in your teens or your 20s and you have not yet gotten over 100% itis syndrome, please consult a mental health practitioner. Gaming is more than just beating hard challenges. Please acknowledge that, and you'll be happier. You'll have more time to do other things like play different games.
Yeah. Stop it. Get help.
Yeah, choose life. Frankie says choose life. So that's a thing.
Yeah, and then there was the whole Whack-a-Box thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Whack-a-Box, because I didn't like it, but also it like is fine in some circumstance. Like, did you beat both of the whack-a-boxes? Did you become a whack-a-box master? Did you whack all the boxes?
I whacked all the boxes. I became a whack-a-box monster. Master. There is you have to do something very specific in order to actually beat it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You have to use I had to ended up having to use like a very specific like ATB move to like beat to destroy the bigger boxes.
Yeah, like I think it gets a lot easier once you have Infinity's End.
Correct. Correct. Infinity's the End is the only way you're going to get through that.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of the weirdest thing I think about Whack-a-Box is how they specifically tell you that you can only use Braver. Sorry, a hiccup. You can only use Braver and the ATB move of the weapon you have equipped, which is super baffling. It's like saying, "Hey, you've learned a bunch of moves, but you're not allowed to use any of them in this thing, right? You have to, if you fail this, you can equip some other sword, but then it's like you then find out whether or not that move was any good." The first time I did the Whack-a-Box thing, I was using the nail bat.
So was I, unfortunately. So was I. That thing is not great to use for that.
Oh yeah, no, I get I appreciate the nail bat has its own niche where it's like, oh man, it's designed to make critical hits happen and they do them really hard, but then like, and you learn the skill and then you throw the nail bat in the box and never look at it again.
Yes, the nail bat was quickly discarded for me.
Oh yeah, me too. And so like the Whack-a-Box thing, I think it's fine. It's ultimately just basically the combat of the game, except in a skill-based form where you have to like run around and choose the right targets and be careful with how you're hitting your strikes, and do you be in punishing mode? Do you be in operator mode? Yep. And I am so happy that that both versions of the game are easy enough that you can finish them on hard and still get like 5 to 10,000 points in addition to what you needed to master it on hard, and then you just walk away.
Yeah. So, not the worst minigame.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So I think is there any other minigames? There probably at least one minigame we didn't talk about, but if we didn't talk about it here.
Well, there was like the story required mini games, the ones that where you have to like where Tifa, Cloud, and Barret are opening doors in Shinra. Well, or the reactor.
Yeah, right. Or then there's oh my gosh, we didn't talk about the security lock in Reactor 5.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's just
Yep. I knew exactly what I needed to do and which direction I need to move the sticks, and then I'm pretty sure that the English version of the game doesn't line its timing up of when you should do the action with the actual time that you needed to push the thing. And so no one Tifa never says, okay, on 1, when you hear 1, start pushing.
Right.
I would assume that I'd start pushing as soon as 1 had mostly been uttered, but no, you have to start pushing before the 1 word comes out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I got I did that section like 20 times until I got it right.
Oh.
Yeah, because you finish it and then you have to do the harder version to open up the side area, and yeah, and I get it. It's in the original game, but it's still bad. I mean, the whole point of a remake is you get to not do bad things the second time, right?
Yeah, or make them better.
Yeah, or make them better. Make them actual games. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, go figure. One thing I did kind of like, though the execution of it was a little underwhelming, was that you get these different security cards, and you're essentially kind of like building the boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to influence what kind of attacks it does.
Oh yeah, that was actually really neat. Yeah. And then depending on what you take out of there, you can get those things as rewards. Mm-hmm. None of them are actually any good, but it's at least you get it's a fun little decision making process to do. I removed like all of the AI cores.
Correct, I did as well.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, whatever that is, it scares me.
Yes. So I found that bit of interaction with the upcoming boss fight interesting.
Yeah, no, that was great, and it wasn't there in the original, and yeah, it was awesome. It certainly made that chapter feel a lot more fleshed out.
For sure, it felt like, oh, this is a neat little addition to the game.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're coming in here at 3:30 here. So let's talk real quick about lightning round of things we liked and didn't like. So favorite boss. What's your favorite boss?
My favorite boss. I'm gonna say my favorite boss was. That's a. God, what boss did I walk away from with the most pleasant feelings? It's gonna be. I really liked Hell House, even with the whole God thing.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, well, just because of what it was. I like I guess the setup of it. Because I guess it's like inclusion really caught me off guard. But like mechanically, my favorite boss is gonna have to be the tank lobby.
Oh yeah, the tank lobby because you're actually having to dive behind cover and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. I think that Hell House has to be my least favorite boss in the game, unfortunately,
Oh,
because
I don't blame you for that.
yeah.
Like my fondness for it is purely on the gimmick side.
Yeah, no, I understand. I completely respect and understand that opinion. I think I would feel better about Hell House if I hadn't finished it by taking its last 2,000 hit points off 9 damage at a time, and if I hadn't gotten it to about 1,000 hit points and then tried to hit it with a spell and then healed it for about 1,000.
You know what? That's fair. Yeah, it's completely fair.
Yeah, so that happened. And then I think overall I liked whatever. I'm just gonna go off the cuff. It's the fish boss. It's the fish blade boss we talked about. I think that one has the best concept out of all the bosses, but doesn't actually execute on it. And maybe it's tied with the bomber one we were just talking about, where you could kind of get to pick and choose what your boss is going to end up like. Those are both great ideas.
Remind me, the fish boss?
The fish one where you're in the drum and it's fighting Cloud and Barret, and then it jumps through the wall and then fights Tifa.
Oh, yes. I'm with you on that. I really like the idea that's kind of boiling there, but it wasn't completely there yet.
Yeah, no, it was. It just it needed to be maybe harder, or even just having a third stage on it. It's something weird about it even existing in the way it is. It's almost like they dialed it down. They turned everything down to make sure that you didn't feel super exhausted by the time you get to the end of it. But I don't know what happened there. But like ultimately, that one had the most promise, and I liked its idea a lot. So
for sure.
So I'm gonna pick that guy.
Okay, that's completely fair.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the idea behind that fight. The execution, it didn't annoy me, but I did walk away from it feeling like it could have been so much better.
Yeah. All right, what was your favorite chapter of the game?
That is, beyond a shadow of the doubt, the wall market.
Yeah, me too. There's definitely wall market, which no surprise there for anyone who's listening this far. Thank you for listening this far. Yeah, wall market was great. What was least favorite for you?
My least favorite, and this is probably due in part to since I marathoned it, I'm gonna have to say like the drum. Paired up with just like the Hojo enemy gauntlet paired with the drum, I did not like that one bit.
Yeah, for sure. I also agree that the drum should have been its own chapter. It's surprising. I keep having to remind myself that you still fight Rufus and all that stuff at the end of that chapter. It just baffles me why that had to be so long. It's just like the designers are like, yeah, okay, but make it 10 hours longer.
Yep. Oh god, I felt every minute, every second.
Yep. Oh my gosh. What's another favorite thing that you liked from the game that we haven't brought up?
That we haven't brought up?
I don't know. Is there anything that we're missing here, like favorite materia, maybe?
The pedometer.
Oh gosh, actually, it's on my notes. The pedometer materia is my favorite materia too. Oh my gosh, I have this note written in my notes here that says the pedometer materia raises so many questions. Like, So if you don't know about it, listener, like it's a thing. You equip it and it says it counts your steps, and then when it says there's a goal, and when you get to the goal, something might happen, and then it turns into an AP materia that doubles the AP of the materia you attach it to, which is like it's. I think there's one of those in the original game too. But the thing that baffles me about the pedometer materia is that are there other materias that are also lame? Like, is there a filing materia? Is there a bookkeeping materia? Is there a Tybo materia? If I was a single mom in Midgard, would I have a taking care of my kid materia? Like, what does this say about the game in the system? Like, I really want to see all of the really boring materia that randomly popped into existence that people found a use for that is just like super non-heroic.
Well, the planet is very concerned about your wellness, so it wants you to, kind of make goals for yourself and put as many steps and miles as possible.
Yeah, right. The planet noticed you were getting a little chunky.
Yeah, so it just spat out these self-help materials.
Yeah, no, I really want to believe that if too much Mako crystallizes in one spot against something really boring, that this happens.
You know what? That explosion in Scarlet's lab makes pedometer materia.
Oh yeah, right there you go. Boom.
Boom! It was a mistake.
Oh yeah, right. It's like the mutated child materia. It's like kill me. I am a freak. Yeah, like oh my gosh. Cooking materia. I want to see the cooking materia. Equip it to this thing, and it infuses all of your dishes with ice magic.
Yeah. One of the things, like one of the side quests, I'm not sure if you got it because you were with the madam. There was this shop owner.
Mm-hmm.
Who I narrowed it down to three things. It's either my refrigeration, my wiring, or my stove. And you pick between those three, and you have to pick the one that's because they're each correlated with different materia.
Oh wow.
Like the heat one, like you pick the one where you have the highest level in that materia.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the wiring, it'd be the lightning materia.
Mm-hmm.
For the stove, it would be fire. For refrigeration, it'd be the ice. I found that interesting. Like what the material you have equipped would have some kind of bearing on what you can do in the overworld.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like a really cool idea. I never saw anything like that.
It felt very shallow though in its execution in that segment. Yeah, but I felt like, oh, that could be interesting. Where the level of material you have or what you have equipped could somehow influence quests.
Oh gosh, yeah. And think about it. Like instead of all of that crawling underneath stuff and slowly monkey barring stuff, right? Like later in the game, they show you things like you can do this grappling mechanic where you can like swoosh up to these things, and there's this thing where bear can shoot away rubble and whatnot. What not a ability where it's like, hey, you found a thing that you can use with your ice magic. Is your ice magic high enough?
Yeah,
that would have been neat.
Yeah. Be a bit of a kind of a Metrovania-esque thing where once it's high enough, you can revisit this area.
Yeah, that could possibly be pretty neat, or even reward you for like, hey, you leveled up your materia before you even needed this for this thing. But like, I could see it also being really like a downer if you like, oh well, I can't complete all the side stuff in this area. I can't come back to because I didn't level up my Asuna high enough.
For sure.
Yeah, but man, there's so much possibility there. That would be really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was it? That character, was it her? I think her name was Marl, right? The lady with the big gray hair poof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's neat. That's all I have to say. I like her.
Bit of character kind of fleshed out in the game.
Yep.
In a section of the game that you're not really able to like linger on in the original because it gets quickly squashed.
Yeah, right. For real. Yep, I like that part where in random bits like where Don says "Don out," just like that.
Don out. Yep.
Super funny. Just made me think of Seacrest, Ryan Seacrest.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't even know if this was meant to be intentional.
Who knows? Honestly.
Yeah.
Anything else? we already talked about the museum. We didn't really touch upon that cinematic that you get in the that one room.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah, which they like they gloss over the whole like the world ending segment as a glitch in the system,
mm-hmm. Right.
which was I found odd. Like that you consider that a glitch, that it goes in like this very specific detail about how the world's gonna end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. And then it's like, oops, we didn't do the thing.
Yeah, it's been on the fritz lately. Keeps giving this apocalyptic vision of the future.
Right, yeah, and here's your key card. Yeah, that was super funny. Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. That was great. I loved it. Oh man. Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. No game's perfect, but for all its faults, I still don't regret my the time I spent with it, and I am hoping that Nomura and Square Enix stick to their guns and remake the game and take it to a different direction.
Oh yeah, for real. I really hope that they continue to pay off the plot, that finish the end of the game, and not just bow to the will of the fans, which surely will happen.
I hope not, because I mean they went this far.
Yep. Right. They proved that they were willing to do it in the first place. So,
correct. Backpedaling will just make the first game pointless.
Yep. It really did. The next game that comes after this one will make or break this one. Yeah. So
it'll make or break the entire series.
Yeah. Right. For sure. Yeah. And if any of you listeners just tuned in now, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. I can get behind that score.
Cool.
7 out of 10.
TLDR, 7 out of 10, 3.5 hours later.
That it may change depending on how the second one plays out.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The next sequel could reduce this one by 5 points.
Yes, immensely.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I think this has been great. I appreciate we got to sit down and talk about this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do this again sometime in the future.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thanks, listener, for listening so far, and take care. If you like, smash that like and subscribe button, or look at a bird, or click on a cloud, or eat a cookie. I don't know. Do something that makes you happy if you like this.
You can check my Patreon on... I have no Patreon.
on this brick wall over here by this supermarket. This was brought to you by Ghost Mattress. So comfy, you'll feel like you're dead. Okay, that's enough here. We can cut it.
All right, that's fine.
See you next time.
All right.
Thanks again to Trent for helping me make this podcast possible, as well as special thanks to ocremix.org and their contributors Louisa for their track Materia Junkie and Kevin Lau for their track Eris Lives. And that's it. That's the end. If you want to hear more of us talking about games, let us know somehow. This podcast was brought to you by Communication. When you've got something to say, communicate it. Support from the Jonah McIntosh Foundation, a fake foundation I made up, and listeners not unlike yourself.